So here's a list of all the themes from the Power and Conflict anthology, and if you're revising, you want to be aware of all of these themes because in theory, any of them could come up in the exam. Now, the anthology is obviously called Power and Conflict, so all the themes do relate to the themes of power and conflict, and the main questions that you do tend to get are to do with conflict or power, but there are some sort of sub-themes within that it's good to be aware of. So for example, you could get a question about the power of nature or the power of identity, the power of place, the power of memories, even maybe something like abuse of power. And then for the conflict side, it does tend to be to do with war, but I suppose you could also get conflict of power, or more likely something like internal conflict. I think that could be quite an interesting one. So those are some of the themes that it's worthwhile revising when you're looking at the Power and Conflict anthology. If you think I've missed any themes, let me know in the comments. And if you're stressed about revising poetry, and I mean, who wouldn't be, because it's like 15 poems, which is way too much to revise in my opinion, you can check out my revision pack for Power and Conflict, where I go through the 5 poems that I would recommend revising for the exam, and they link to all the themes that I've just mentioned, and there's at least 2 poems for each theme, just in case one of the poems does come up in the exam, so you have got one that you can compare it to. And for each of those poems, I've selected 3 quotes that I think are really useful, identified the techniques in them, and given you ideas for analysis, as well as explain the form and the structure, so you can also comment on that. And because a lot of students forget, I've also done a really short, concise bit of context for each of the 15 poems, because you also get assessed on context for this question, which is important not to forget because that's worth 6 marks.